Finally, India has found the savior we were all looking for. Uncle Soros is lots of money and lots of sorrows against our suffering nation. Now, you must have by now already caught up with his comments of India's democratic revival that could happen once Modi is pushed out, and the Adani-Modi fascism allegations and all of that. I'm not getting into that. Many Indians do not know about George Soros. They must be wondering, why are we giving him so much attention? Let's ignore him here. He is at 92, like one of those old great-grandparents that we all have who must have an opinion on everything, like a bobji around us. But he's not just another billionaire who wants to be also labeled as another philanthropist. He's powerful. His actions have led to serious allegations of economy downfall from Europe to Asia and other nations, and of even government change in the United States of America. Rafale fighter jet was one of the biggest political issues and controversies in India barely 5 years ago. But what was happening at the same time outside India? French NGO Sherpa Association filed a corruption accusation with their national financial prosecutor in 2018 against this 36-aircraft Rafale contract with India. Sherpa Association is backed by the Open Society Foundation, which was founded by George Soros in 1984. So let's take a quick look at who this man is. George Soros is a hedge fund manager, and according to a Forbes magazine report, he has amassed a huge fortune, a net worth of about $6.7 billion as of February 17, 2023. Born in Hungary to a Jewish family, he changed his last name from Schwartz to Soros. That was to hide his Jewish identity amid the Nazi violence. He's also been in conflict with his own birth nation, Hungary, where a Stop Soros law was passed against illegal immigration, which Soros-funded companies wanted to be kept open for all. A similar controversy over illegal immigration against him erupted even in Italy and United Kingdom. Both nations he has no direct connect with, and yet was pushing for steps for immigration in those nations. In principle, George Soros is funding democracy and human rights. These are initiatives that are praiseworthy. But it is in practice, the small print is raising questions about where his funding, which is in millions of dollars, is eventually used. For example, in the Israel-Palestine conflict, also his name has cropped up. According to a Bloomberg report, the investigation disclosed that there were grants that were given to Palestinian human rights groups against Israel army atrocities. There was also a larger ambitious strategy to influence American Congress, reporters and government officials and discredit the pro-Israel lobby worldwide. But there have been no effort from his organization to monitor the Hamas militia, whose crimes are not just against Israelis but also against their own people in Palestine, who are branded as collaborators and dragged on streets as mob violence. George Soros is one of the most influential and successful investors in the history of the United States of America, and he's also one of the most controversial. The biggest financial accusation against him is of breaking the Bank of England in 1992. The Central Bank of England is like Reserve Bank of India for us. The hedge fund manager shorted the British currency, which is the pound. The bank collapsed, and he's said to have made a profit of $1 billion when that happened. Other economic political upheavals alleged against him are in 1997, the Thailand currency attack, 1997 Asia financial crisis, Malaysia currency decline, even interference in the currency decline of Japan and Russia. In fact, Malaysia's former premier Mahathir Mohamad and George Soros were firing off words like moron and menace at each other because Soros was blamed for undermining the Southeast Asian economies by destabilizing their economy. Soros donated $128.5 million to the Democratic Party in 2022 in the United States of America. He was his biggest donor of that party. Trump lost. Joe Biden is now the president. The question is, were all of these nations fascist, undemocratic, in need of a savior? At least that is what he made it seem like. A fact is that he's definitely known more about in political, economic, news controversies than in business success. Open Society Foundation runs in over 70 countries. Soros had given about $18 billion to this organization, according to a report in 2017. Only in India, just in our country, he has been giving grants since $11.9 million in democratic practice, reform, law and fellowship. But to which NGOs and which organizations is the question that's often been raised. Even to the Human Rights Watch, he's given in 2010 about $100 million. What he said in 2020 about India got me really curious. These were the words. biggest and most frightening setback occurred in India, a Hindu nationalist state imposing punitive measures on Kashmir, a semi-autonomous Muslim region, and a threat to deprive millions of Muslims of their citizenship. Disrupting a terror ecosystem in our border state, suffering from jihadist violence and Pakistan-sponsored extremism for 3 decades now, is a punitive punishing measure? Depriving millions of Muslims of citizenship, how, where? By ensuring persecuted groups from adjacent countries of Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, giving them a safe shelter in the only nation they can have hope from, which is India. Now, I do not blame Soros on this extreme views. Because remember the foreign press video that I had done earlier? And if I were to read only that selective, fearful reportage about India, I may also hold the same negative view and use the same words. The curious part amid all of this was the Indian National Congress that got caught in. Soros' NGO Open Society Foundation's Vice President Salil Shetty was seen walking with Congress leader Rahul Gandhi on 11th October 2022 during the Bharat Jodo Yatra. But so bizarre are Soros' comments today that even the Congress got worried and they chose not to go overboard in their support of Soros. This is what Jairam Ramesh had said and is correct, that if there is any change has to come in India, it has to come from the opposition parties and the political discourse. It cannot be a foreign interference. Because India knows what foreign interference has done to us, whether it's the British colonialism till 1947 or Pakistan interference and our failure to stop that terrorism in time in Kashmir, 1990s. So has India done anything to ensure that these Adani controversy is also addressed? It's not that India is sliding these allegations under the table. The Indian media has been consistently reporting on this issue. India's market regulator, the SEBI, has been also investigating if there is an Indian security law that has been violated or any conflict of interest in the sale law process. The top court of this country, the Supreme Court, has proposed setting up a panel of experts to which the government at the center has had to agree. The government is currently preparing a list of those names. Listen in now to what Foreign Affairs Minister said when Soros' comments became a huge rage.
Mr. Soros is a old, rich, opinionated person. They actually invest resources in shaping narrative.
As I conclude, remember that India's strength has always been its democracy and a stable economy. But with less facts and more fear being circulated that both are in trouble and need a savior is what we need to be cautious against. Thank you for watching.